has any questions, just raise a hand. So the climate smart status report, myself, Michael, and Nathan, I'll give the briefs. We met last week regarding the climate smart communities. Nathan cannot be here today. And basically we just got ourselves set up and reestablished, and we agreed to Nathan is now in the system. He's on the New York Climate Smarts. So we've explained the process that we had, and we've agreed, to meet monthly a week before these meetings so that we can, go through our action items and then give a status. Michael, any comments?
No, that'll do. Thanks.
Okay, great. Yay. Okay, and Tom O'Dowd, I guess that's a good question. I think he has, he's unfortunately doesn't have the time to commit at this point, but Nathan is now with us. Great.
I think Tom just signed on.
Oh, Tom O'Dowd. Oh, there we go. Tom.
Hey.
Welcome.
Sorry to be MIA, everybody.
Oh, great. Welcome, welcome. I did have a question that I sent an email out to. It could just be my computer. When we look at the, next time anyone goes into the Climate Smart, if you could just let me know if I'm crazy, if it's my computer, or it looks like everything is unplanned, but that could just be me. I have an email out to you, but anyway, let's move forward. Okay, so next on the agenda, initial city parks management recommendations to City Hall. So that is with Britt. Britt, take it away.
I sent job description and precedent information to Michael Hoffman, Mayor Johnson, and Tom DiPietro, and I checked in with them, and they don't need any additional information at this time. So they're crafting a job description, and hopefully we'll have a posting up soon.
All right. Did everyone hear Britt? Was anyone able to hear Britt? Good. Okay, great. All right, cool. Any other comments? Anyone else? No? Okay, great. Next item. Update from Columbia County Environmental Management Committee. Michael Hara. You're on mute. You're on mute.
All right. I've taken to send around the minutes of our EMC meetings and the Columbia County Climate Smart Communities Task Force, which I hope give a fuller idea of what these two bodies are doing. I think the important stuff that the Climate Smart Communities are doing, which is more directly relevant to the sort of things that our body is doing, having to do with the way that they're able to come together and make plans for the climate smart communities accomplishments that can be done in a larger municipality. For example, the issue about the community solar arrangements, which is also under the label the Solarize program, which I think most of you have heard explained before, but let me give you a brief capsule to make sure we're on the same table here, which is that in the Solarize program, the municipality or the county in that case promote the use of solar either as a rooftop alternatives or with community solar, a solar farm which is shared out among many users, perhaps hundreds of them, each of which would get a share in exchange for their connection of the credits that installation earns, the renewable energy credits or RECs. So that's what the county has decided to do. The angle that they've decided to play is the community solar type of investment. And what they have arranged to do is set up two different vendors that are vetted by the county officials and who will be marketing directly to citizens of Columbia County. They will be offering special recruitment bonuses to not only each individual family that signs up for the program, but also to the county. The county gets $100 for each new person that signs up. And if they get 25 new signups, the county gets $5,000. So it's an interesting idea. It gets perhaps over the course of its implementation, perhaps several hundred people in the county who may not have the investment capital or the roof space to get into a personal solar system, but would like to participate in that because for one, it feels like you're doing something for the environment, and number two, because it saves them money. The way it feeds back to the individual is that the individual family gets 10% off of whatever their electric supply bill was going to be. So if the supply bill was going to be $100 that month, it's now just 90 because the credits that are earned on their behalf are automatically transferred to the end user's electricity bill. And so even if you're not interested in reducing your carbon footprint, you can still save a little bit of money. So the price of the electricity will go up and down. It's not a guaranteed price, but at least you'll always be 10% below that number. Now, the other wrinkle on this is having to do with the city or towns. 6 of Columbia County's towns have passed a resolution and sent out paperwork to the state that gets them in the Solarize program and commits them to help with the publicity and communication with their own citizens. And what they get in exchange for that is half of what the county would have otherwise gotten, the $100. Now half of that goes to the municipality. So if Hudson elects to do that, then here's another income stream for the city. And if we get enough of the signups, we also qualify for several thousands of dollars that could come to the city after we reach a threshold of however many that is. So what we need to do if we want to go about doing this is to, pass a resolution in the city council and have the mayor approve it and send the paperwork off to Albany. We had a presentation. When was that? 2-3 weeks ago, from a fellow who was talking about it in a different way, which is where a community would consolidate, would accumulate all of the electrical demand for the entire community, and set it up in such a way so that it gets treated by the electric utilities as if it was one really big customer. And then an administrator on behalf of the community goes and negotiates a fixed price with one of the vendors of electricity. You can choose to have it be, wind or solar or coal-fired for all it matters. But that price then applies to a certain amount of years after that, and it doesn't go up or down. So that would affect the supply. And it's set up in such a way so that it's an option to get out of the system rather than to choose to get in. So it's not like the Solarize campaign where we have to tell the citizenry, here's this good deal, you should register for this. The consolidated version of this is where once the city informs the community several times about how this whole thing works, they set up the program, and everybody in the community is automatically enrolled unless they say otherwise. And so that's a different approach to it, because it includes many more people. I mean, essentially, automatically, all of the families are included unless they say otherwise. And the Solarize program is asking each of those families to make an individual decision that says, yes, I want to do this. So we can talk more about the ups and downs or different styles of getting this done. But the good thing about the community Solarize combination is that we can get set up on that in the next couple of weeks to say, yes, we want to do it. And if a few hundred people sign up, then all for the better. If we later on go with the consolidated version, no harm done. We can just kind of layer that on top of what we've already offered people the option to do. And if they want to switch, then they can certainly do that. So sorry to be so long-winded, but this is a whole separate topic. Go ahead, Rich.
I'm sorry. So what do you recommend our next steps to be? What should our next action items be?
Sure. I recommend that the city get involved as a player in the Solarize campaign and fill out the paperwork for Albany and say, yes, we want to do this, and start offering our citizens. I mean, our citizens can go ahead and do this without our help here in the city of Hudson. Once they hear from the vendor or from the county that this is available, they can go ahead and sign up. They don't need us. But what would be better for the city is for us to at least get credit for those registrations that are within our borders. And so I recommend that we do that very soon.
So, okay, so is there what does the city need to do in order to sign up with that? Is there a form? Is there a what?
Yes, there's a form, there's a letter of intent, some simple documents that I would be happy to send to council president or any of the, if any of the aldermen want to be the champion for this this move, then I would be happy to speak in more detail with them.
So we have aldermen, sorry, folks. So we have aldermen on this meeting right now.
Yep.
Is there anyone who would like to champion any? Oh, Margaret, there you go. Margaret's raising her hand.
Yeah, no.
You have a question?
No, yes, I'm listening to this, and I am so excited by it. And I would really like to meet with you, Michael, and talk to you about this. I think I told you a couple of months ago, I diligently tried to put solar on my roof but my house, unfortunately, was not amenable to that. I think this is wonderful information, and I would love to meet with you and talk to you about this and see how we can move this forward. Absolutely intrigued. I think this is great, and we should definitely support you on this.
Great. Okay, I'll be in touch.
It's going to be good for the city. It's going to be good for all of us. And you have my email. I'll call you and let's get together and talk about it. But absolutely, I am very much on board.
Great.
Okay.
And also, I have to say, I love the fact that your dog is walking back and forth in the background.
Oh, that's my cat, but no matter.
Well, your cat looks a lot like my dog. Okay, fair enough.
Great. So the takeaway is, Mike, you're going to connect with Margaret, send her the documentation. The two of you will meet and then get together whether or not, and the city will move forward with it.
Yep.
And Trixie, I will absolutely bring this to the council.
Wonderful. Love you, Margaret. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Are we ready to move forward to our next action item here? The state boat launch, rebuild, research findings. David?
You're muted.
You're on mute.
There we go. Okay, I mean, there's not a, I mean, really I think most of you got a message from me earlier today talking about whether we should get involved in this a bit. I'll briefly go over in case you didn't get a chance to read it. And it's really a question of engaging on this impending development, and that is that New York State is renovating the boat launch facilities. You might have read this in gossips or in the paper. A number of them up and down the river, including Hudson's, which, as you know, is now mostly a parking lot. This is part of a state initiative called Hudson Eagles Recreation Area. And it's aimed at increasing boating, fishing, recreation, wildlife observation, and one assumes increased climate resiliency at these places. So I attached earlier, and I guess I can put this into the record along with this note, a rendering, which is, as far as I know, is the only public visual representation of what's planned. There are no, as far as I know, any publicly available actual plans. And I've checked with some people, including Exacos, people who are up to date generally on waterfront issues, and they haven't seen anything either. And gossips also pointed out that about a lack of a publicly available plan to look at. Also, as far as we're aware, the state only sought input from the mayor's office, from the Powerboat Association, and a few private citizens. We, as the CAC, was not asked to review or make recommendations. The rendering, if you haven't seen it or when you do see it, is definitely an improvement on what's there, but we have no idea about the actual design. We have no idea about what materials they're using or what plannings they're going to use. And, you know, all of which are important given the certainty of increased rainfall, runoff, river flooding, saltwater encroachment. So what we don't know whether this is, you know, what they're going to do will be truly climate adaptive, whether it fits into the city's overall waterfront vision, whether what they're doing is interesting and might provide, you know, models for what happens along the rest of the waterfront as it gets redeveloped. So all of this, and what we've learned, and what makes this time sensitive, is that the project is moving quickly. As you probably read or may have read, the boat launch in Coxsackie is already happening. I think they're putting like 3.2 million or something into that. And our understanding is that Hudson/Athens are next, and that requests for bids could go out as early as this fall. So, you know, at that point, by the time they go out, which means by fall, there's not going to be any chance to make any kind of recommendations or changes. So my question to the group was, given this, should we get involved in this issue now, ask to review the plans and specs, provide feedback, encourage some other kind of public input, because there hasn't been much? You know, what do you all think? I mean, my feeling is that we should, but, you know, I'd love to hear what you all think about that.
Right. So what do you think the next act, what do you think the group should do? Say it again. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, whether we should get involved and ask for actual plans, and see what they're planning, see, you know, what this thing looks like, what materials they're using, you know, how they're going to deal with the, you know, that area, that borderline between water and earth. You know, what kind of trees they're planting, you know, whether they're survivable, whether it, you know, whether it can absorb flooding and then it can be released. You know, I mean, there's a lot of, it looks like very pretty, but is it, you know, what are they doing? And, you know, do we as a group, I mean, shouldn't we get involved and start talking about and start examining this and put our 2 cents in?
Okay.
And also, you know, none of the rest of the community, the community hasn't really been engaged on this. So we don't know really what they're doing other than that rendering.
Okay. So anyone comments? Britt, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I I have two questions. So I do feel that we should be involved, and I think like the community should be involved a little bit more. I was wondering if Michael Hoffman, who's on the call, knows who the design team is, because if that timeline is accurate, that we think it's maybe getting built in the fall, and this isn't just a concept rendering, it's going through DEC permitting, which is like a 60 to 90-day review period. And to go through, like to get your tidal wetland permit, you have to have pretty substantially completed plans. Like you have to have a complete planting plan, materials plan, and your SWIP, all of that documentation has to be submitted for this tidal wetland permit. So if that timeline is accurate, they have all that documentation. So I'm curious if Michael Hoffman knows the design team or the project team, and then we can easily reach out for that. And it may be a big lift to do a pivot at this point. Or if that timeline isn't accurate, then now is a really good time to try and get our voices to be heard. But it might be sort of moot.
Okay, Michael, can you respond to that?
Yeah, Brett, unfortunately, I don't know who that design team is. And frankly, I have no memory of ever receiving any documentation related to this project. So our office is pretty much at the same, level that the CAC is on in regard to the redesign of this project. But I'm happy to work with y'all on locating those documents and using the power of our office to be able to get those records.
Yeah, because the rendering could just be like high concept and have no like meat on the bone behind it. And in which case, like now's a really good time to try and to fix or talk through some of the things that David had mentioned.
So Britt, does anyone know who we could reach out to what's the first step?
I mean, I would think, Michael, someone in your office has certainly contacted the mayor's office to have some sort of state boat launch. Like that had to have gone through your office somewhere. It might have happened in a previous, like the administration prior to when you started. Maybe it was when Michael Shamides was.
Yeah, I think this discussion began back in 2020. I mean, this was a Cuomo initiative that Hochul has picked up on.
Okay, then I will go back into our records to see who our contact was for that initially.
Okay, Vanessa, you got a question?
I just want to know, I know that there's like a waterfront advisory group meeting regularly about revisioning what the waterfront looks like. Is that something that can collaborate with this, or are they separate visions?
They're separate because like they're different properties. But that's Wendy Andriga and Kaya Cool, and they know that they'll be collaborating, so they have to have the two spaces speak to each other, but they're not the ones doing the boat launch. But
okay,
we could possibly ask them if they know the design team or know the project management team.
thanks for clarifying.
Marie, you got a question?
Yeah, just a quick, is there a so-called lead agency here?
I guess it'd be the DEC.
DEC is the reviewing agency, but depending on if it was like initiated by a nonprofit funding it, like we wouldn't know who the design team is. Like, for example, I do waterfront projects for state and federal, but I get hired oftentimes through a nonprofit or community group, and you do it in partnership with National Park Service or state parks.
Well,
I'm just wondering who initiated it. I mean, who?
I don't know. And David, did you say this was done in another community downriver already?
Well, there are five cities that are having their state boat launches areas. The parkland surrounding it, the launch redesigned and renovated, and Kosaki was the first. And it's it's easy to Google. They're spending like 3.2 or 3.4 million, and that project is happening.
Well, so maybe we can ask Kosaki.
Oh yeah, good thinking. Yeah.
Right. I mean, their town, village, whatever administrators, and see, if they've already happened there, we could ask them to see. We could reach out to them and find out what the process is.
Same people. Yeah.
Because it sounds like we're a little bit in the dark. We don't even know where to start.
I'm happy to do that.
Oh, are you okay with doing that then, David?
Yeah, I'll
Is that what you said?
definitely.
I'm sorry.
see if I
Stage
get
Street's a little
time.
noisy today. And all right, so the next action item, so David, you'll reach out to Coxsackie to
Yep.
see where they're at, and then just let us know. We know we can move on from there.
Okay.
Good, great.
Yep.
Anyone else? Comments, suggestions? No? All right. Let's, David, you're up next as well. The plastic flyer.
Well, I sent that around for everybody to take a look at. I'm hoping it's near or next to final. There is, I mean, there's still a couple blanks. I've reached out to Rebecca Wolf, who's dealing with Ginsburg's, to get a name and a number. I think there's one other number too. I think I didn't get to this, but I will. Kitty's is closed, but they do use a commercial composting service for their compostable stuff that gets consumed on site. And I'll see if I can find out who they use and how that program works. So we can put those, we can fill in those blanks and we can produce this thing. The other thing is I have my in-house designer, Peg Patterson, working on Vicky's great idea of creating a sticker that merchants who switch to sustainable takeout can put in their windows and be part of this program. I also, I think I sent as like a suggested, I mean, this sticker is gonna have to say something. And I was wondering if anybody, I threw out one idea out there. I don't know if anybody had thought about it or come up with something better, but we can have that discussion. And I had plastic-free Hudson, we're pledged to sustainable takeout. That's it. And it's some kind of sticker that goes in the window. So if anybody's got something better, let me know. And then we can produce this thing and distribute it to cafes, restaurants, and delis.
Okay, great. Yeah, and the flyer looks great, by the way. Kudos to Peg. The flyer's amazing. Yeah, it looks really good.
Good, yeah. You can thank Peg for that.
Okay, so so the next step then on that, David, is what?
Is to get it produced, which I haven't. I know there's a budget for it. I think Hillary knows something about this. I certainly Peg, who's done a lot of graphic design work, can she's dealt with the business coalition and getting their stuff printed, so we can get it printed locally. And I guess it's just to get approval, proofread it, produce it, and as soon as we fill in those blanks and I know what the budget is, we can go and do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the CAC, if we have an actual budget.
Yeah, well, apparently there's money for this. I was just involved in the creation and design aspect of it, but it seemed Hillary was saying that there was money for this.
Okay, I'll send an email to Hillary to ask her if there's a budget for this.
Okay.
If she knows.
I sure hope so.
And the next question would be, how many are we thinking about doing? And right.
It's a good question. It's a fairly limited distribution when you think about it.
I mean, we're talking 100,000.
I don't think we're talking about 1,000 because it's not for general distribution. It's really to businesses.
Right.
Well, and specifically restaurants, we could just count the restaurants in town and just anyone who serves food.
Yeah, it's restaurants, delis, and food shops. So
we're looking about like 100, 200 flyers, I would say.
Yeah, it's a small run.
Small. All right. So, all right. I'll ask Hillary. I'll send an email out to Hillary, and so we can move forward with this. And do we know how to fill in the blanks or no?
I think Rebecca's working on one angle, and the other one I can do when Kitty's reopens, which is Thursday, I think.
Okay, good. Because the blanks were just like the contact information at Ginsburg and something like that. Okay, great.
Rich, if you don't mind, I'll just add that if the CSE has any printing needs, just let me know and we can handle that in the mayor's office.
Oh, yes, thank you very much. Yay. We will probably take you up on that.
All right. Yeah.
And
Here's money.
probably for future things too. So this is a recorded session. Yay. Okay. Next is Marie. Take it away. Stretch code.
All right, the glamorous subject of stretch codes. So I attended a conference about 3 weeks ago, sponsored by Westchester County, and I was surprised to see 350 people in attendance at a stretch code conference, but there is a tremendous amount of interest in this concept. And actually I found out that there are already quite a few communities up and down the Hudson River, some of them very small, some of them larger, that have already adopted stretch codes. So there's no kind of, I was a little concerned that a city the size of Hudson would have a difficult time implementing something like stretch codes, but it clearly is not an obstacle. And just going back a little bit, stretch codes are basically an add-on to existing construction requirements, and they're not terribly radical. They're more sort of predictors of where baseline codes are going to go over the next few years. So it gets you ahead of the curve, if you will, if you're a community and you adopt stretch codes. They're also part of the NYSERDA program. They're kind of the, if you will, the supply, rather the demand side of the climate smart communities, because the idea behind stretch codes is to make your properties more resilient, use less energy, create a more sustainable infrastructure. So the idea is that you're going to reduce the demand for supply by implementing stretch codes. So stretch codes, basically, there is an actual program called New York Stretch. It's part of NYSERDA. It's a fairly simple program to sign up for. It only applies to new builds. It does not apply to renovations. There is a lot of assistance that NYSERDA offers, free training for code enforcement. There are also contractors that are NYSERDA approved that you can use to provide some assistance if you don't have the staff necessary to actually go out and enforce these stretch codes. So there's a lot of assistance. If the city signs up, you get a $4,000 grant up front as part of the NYSERDA. You get a lot of points for it. And so Hillary and I, our plan is to speak to Craig at Code Enforcement, give him an update on how this program works, see if he's interested in participating. And if he is interested, then we will move forward with reaching out to the council, because we would need to approve a resolution to adopt the stretch codes very quickly, because I know, I could go on about this, but in order to adopt the current stretch codes, we would need to do it by June. Now, it seems pretty quick, but as I say, there is really not a lot to this, and it would be pretty easy for the city to adopt. And I don't think that it would require a huge lift, certainly in the short term, with regards to code enforcement. So the plan is to reach out next month and to begin the process of reaching out to the council as well. I think Margaret has a question.
Okay, Margaret, you're on. You're muted.
Sorry, I'm muted. Yeah. So can you send information to the council about this?
I will.
There are a couple of things coming up. We have a number of developments going on, 7th Street, etc. And I think it would be really important for the council to have this information so that we can look at it. If you're looking for some input from the council by June, I think we need to get this. I am chairing the legal committee. That may be where it comes through. But we would really like to get the information as soon as possible so that we can, we do have a meeting tomorrow evening of the legal committee. Anything you can get to me, I'll be happy to bring before the council.
I can give you a sort of 10-point.
That'd be good.
Yeah, sort of assessment of the conference that I went to, and I'll add to that. And just to be aware, it would only apply to developments that have not been approved yet. And
Not
the
a-
other,
okay.
yeah, I mean, until you actually adopt it, so the current approvals would not apply. However, I do think since these constructions have not begun yet, stretch codes can be voluntarily adopted, and there are all kinds of resources available to developers as well to adopt these stretch codes voluntarily for those that wouldn't fall under the requirement.
The mandatory.
So,
The
yeah,
mandatory.
exactly. Yeah,
Got it.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anything that you can send to us,
Yep.
great. We do have a legal committee meeting tomorrow evening.
Yep.
And I believe next week we have a council meeting, so just send us whatever you've got.
I'll do that.
Thank you.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Great. So Maria's going to send that to Margaret. That's wonderful. All right. So next, urban forestry, which is really Hillary, I think, who organized this one. So the most I'm going to do is just read through. There's a presentation on Wednesday, Hudson Urban Forestry public meeting. All invited, save the date, get the word out. Please encourage your council members, friends, and neighbors to attend. Presentation by Urban Forestry, Miguel Barrios, Wednesday, April 13th, which is next week, 6 p.m. Zoom. Mr. Barrios conducted a full inventory of Hudson Park and street trees. He will present his findings and an overview of his written report, Community Forestry Management Plan. This plan has immediate needs, short and long-term goals for creating a healthy, diverse native species tree canopy for the city of Hudson. This is the culmination of the work funded by the New York State DEC Urban Forestry Department, the result of a grant written by the Hudson Conservation Advisory Council, i.e., I think it was Hillary, actually. So kudos to Hillary. As you very likely already know, trees work very hard for us. They sequester carbon, retain soil, drink up storm water, shade our buildings, aid in reducing cooling costs, create oxygen, and so much more, all while looking beautiful. Let's learn what we can do for our trees topic. And the Zoom information is there, as well as a picture of Mr. Barrios in 7th Street Park. So this information, I think Hillary distributed, and we're just trying to get as many people to go to this meeting as possible. I mean, maybe I think Carol is on this call. I know of an event website that could probably post this here in Hudson. Let me see if I have any ins and get the word out. And maybe, I don't know if the Common Council people were CC'd on the email, but I will make sure that the Common Council gets Hillary's information as well. And if they could post it up on the city website, that would be great. I'll send it to Mr. Hoffman.
It is already up.
Right, do you already have it? You already have it, right? Yeah. Okay, great. That's it. Ta-da. Next week, everyone.
I put it on the social media.
Put on the social media. Oh, great. That's right. We have it. That's right. Our social media account. Wonderful. Thank you. HVC design for climate resilience for waterfront park. All right. Who is that? Who is talking to that issue? I don't know.
I think that's mostly Hillary, but all of us have like kind of woven in or out to the presentations.
All right. Does anyone have an update on that issue? No? All right, maybe we might have to put this one for next month for Hillary.
We have two raised hands.
Oh, raise hand. I'm sorry. Yes, Tom.
Yes, the advisory committee has met with a preliminary design, which they are going to present. Their next stage is to present that design to the public. So far, it's just presented to the advisory committee, which is not a small committee, by the way. It's 30 or more people. So that's the next stage.
Okay, great. And Margaret? Margaret, do you have your hand raised?
I think I just failed to put my hand down. I don't actually have anything to say.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you, Margaret. All right, moving on. Earth Festival. Vanessa, you're on.
So I don't really have an update, if I'm being totally honest, on Earth Festival because it's springtime and I'm a gardener, so I've been super busy. But doesn't mean I'm not thinking about it. My calendar is giving me enormous anxiety for the next like 2 months. So I don't really know how I can show up to anything, but I wear multiple hats. And so I will be at many events and can speak to what the CAC is doing just in an informal capacity. And then the next agenda item I can speak to a little bit here because it kind of goes hand in hand. Unless Marie, you wanted to say anything.
All right.
I just very quickly wanted to add that I think also last month we sort of decided that our approach for Earth Festival was to get CAC out to as many, sort of tag along, if you will. We were going to get a banner. I think we even said we had a banner. Is that right, Rich?
I believe don't we have a banner with our logo on it?
Yeah, we have a big banner. We used it for Arbor Day.
Oh, that's right.
Hillary has it.
Do you know where that is currently, Britt?
Hillary's house.
Hillary's house. There you go. So we have a banner at Hillary's house. I have tables and chairs.
Yeah.
We're going to have a flyer soon. So there you go.
So maybe all we really need to do is just decide what events we want to show up for and who can man the tables and be available in that way. I think that was probably what we all have time for.
Right. So I started a document of just kind of different county events and Hudson events. I just don't know what I can actually commit to currently. So I can pass that around to the rest of the council members if anyone else is interested. But I think it would be, like Marie was saying, to be able to distribute the work equally. Everyone can kind of pick which events they want to take. So one of the things I've been really busy with, I'm going to segue into the Oakdale Rewilding Project, is we're going to be doing a big project at Oakdale, a series of spring cleanups, a little bit more than just like the litter pickup that we've done in the past. This is an intentional project of going and removing a bunch of plants that are undesirable from the trails and replanting desirable plants there. And so the first one will be on April 23rd, and I can send out a flyer so we can post it on social media as well. But I will be leading a lot of those events and just talking about plants a lot. So I'm really excited for them. And then it's also May 14th and May 28th, and there's some rain dates in there. So we're going to do, the first day will be a lot of removing of invasive plants on the trails. So it's going to be kids activities. If anyone has kids that they need childcare with, there's going to be food and beverages and good times.
So is Tom still on this call?
Yes.
Tom, okay. So Tom, so maybe here's another item for our social media account.
Absolutely. Yeah. If somebody has an image, I'll post it.
I will send you the flyer. It's beautiful.
Awesome. I think I've seen it, but yes, please send it again in case I don't have it. Thank you.
All right. Great. Yes. And like I said, I'm going to post that up too. So yes. And does Carol have that one as well? Carol, I think, is on this call. So
I'll send out a big email blast on MailChimp. I just haven't gotten to it yet, but everyone will be informed.
Good.
Yeah.
All right. Last item here is Mr. O'Hare again. Crypto mining initiative recommended resolution for the Common Council.
Crypto mining. I sent the materials on to Common Council President Tom, and we're following the lead of several other municipalities all over the state who are saying to the governor and to our respective assembly members that the state should not be perhaps allowing or certainly not encouraging the use of what they call mining of certain kinds of digital currency, which uses incredible amounts of electricity and essentially for speculation, essentially, of the digital currencies. So there are several installations in upstate New York where the operators have made use of what had been obsolete power plants and are using them essentially exclusively for this computer running that mines this digital currency. So the letter that went out, I shared it with Tom, the one from New Lebanon, says, let's figure out a way to discourage this and to move, not to say that we can't do digital currency, but let's do it in a more environmentally responsible way.
Okay, so there's a draft resolution.
The letter that I sent to Tom, as well as the accompanying documentation from other environmental groups, says essentially that the town council of New Lebanon had passed a resolution that approved the sending of the letter. So it's a relatively simple resolution, and that would be the next action, is to explain this to the Common Council, the importance of this action, as we add our voices to the other communities in New York State, saying, this is not something we should be allowing.
Okay, so I think Tom has his hand up. Tom, would you like to speak to this?
No, just that I was hoping to get a template for a resolution to support the letter, just to save us some time here, because it actually costs us money to get our attorney to craft such a resolution. But I'm happy to put it forward.
That's a good. Okay, hold on. Let me get to Margaret and Marie, and then we'll.
And also, excuse me 1 second, and also to have someone, perhaps Michael, come and explain it to the full council.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, Margaret and then Marie.
Yeah, so Michael, I did not see what you had sent to Tom in my city email. So really would appreciate it if you would forward whatever you sent to Tom to the full council so that we can all see that. That would be really helpful.
Certainly.
Okay,
great. Marie?
Quick technical question. There may not be an quick answer to this, but when you say that the resolution addresses the question of crypto mining in a more environmentally, I haven't read the resolution. I guess my question is there a more environmentally responsible way to do crypto mining? And does that language actually discourage crypto mining? Because I am not aware of any low energy alternative to the one that they've already got. But anyway, that's maybe a pedantic question. I don't know.
My guess is that it's mostly symbolic, but Michael.
Well, just briefly, there are 3 different ways to create a digital coin now. Proof of work is the earliest of these that was developed years ago, and that's the one that is famously energy consumptive, and that's what we're protesting against essentially. But the 2 other methodologies have just orders of magnitude less electricity needed to do essentially the same output. So yes, there's more than one way to do this.
And Michael, is there a draft resolution that's bouncing around out there that we could forward to the Common Council people as well?
Well, as Tom just pointed out, that I gave him the letter and some other documents, but not a resolution. So let me look around and see if one of the other municipalities already has formed a resolution. So
right, and I'm sure the organization putting it together probably has a draft version or something like that as well.
Could
Maybe.
be, well, I mean,
Okay.
the
So
towns are
that-
different in the cities and so forth.
So you're going to look for that, Michael, and then send it over to Tom, and even if you find it.
Yep.
All right, great. All right, so that's the agenda for the most part. There were a few things that Hillary added that we are keeping on the radar. If anyone has news on these to share, I'm going to run through these items. Solar on municipal hardscapes, LWRP, comprehensive plan RFP, city grant writers, Friends of Public Square, HVC design for climate resilience for Riverfront Park, state boat launch design upgrade. So if any of those topics rang a bell, and if you have anything to add for any of those, please raise your hand. Otherwise, don't. Yes, Britt.
I have something not on that list.
There's something not on the list? What?
I just wanted to give an update to like Arbor Day. I know you know what's been going on, but not the rest of the team. So we were trying to get Arbor Day funded. We tried to go through the tourism board with, you know, like the argument that trees provide curb appeal for tourists, but the tourism board was pretty frank with us that it's just not the right avenue, which is really helpful feedback. But they said that they would try and help find funding through another avenue. So we submitted a letter today just asking blanketly to the Common Council to help us find funding.
Denied by the tourism board. I'm starting a club, Britt, and here we go. So yes. And
I'll join that club. Maybe we can write about it on this like hot blog of events.
It's a great club.
It
so if anyone has, I think that Arbor Day was an amazing success last year. We planted 5 trees. The goal is to get 10 trees in the ground this year. And with or without the tourism board's money, I'm sure it will happen. So we will make that happen.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. All right. Anyone else? Anything else? No.
I just want to say something about the Arbor Day situation. This is Margaret, by the way, from the council.
Margaret,
So, you know, when we're trying to assess allocation of monies based upon whether it's going to promote tourism or whether it's for this or that, I think that you have to think about, is this actually going to bring tourist dollars into the city? That's what the tourism board's all about.
Projected.
Right. No, but no, what I want to say is that there are a number of things that go on in the city that are really important. There are a number of things that, like cultural activities, that are absolutely worthwhile supporting because they support us as a community. But we have to be clear on, are we going to fund this out of monies that we're designating as promoting tourism, monies that we're going to say out of the general fund that are important for us as a community and so forth. And I don't think that there was any sense that Arbor Day and funding of Arbor Day was unimportant. It just is not specifically a tourism related activity. And so I think we just need to kind of be real clear on, yes, we as a community want to promote certain things, but we can't just put them into a bucket that says, oh, well, let's just put this into tourism or into this and that. But I don't really think that there was any sense that funding of Arbor Day was not important. I just wanted to say that's not, that I hope is not the message.
Fair enough.
I would agree. And I hope I didn't make it seem that was
no, you did not. You did not. We just need to make sure that the city and we as a community as a whole understand that this is an important thing in and of itself for us as a community. We don't have to tag it as tourism. We have to tag it as, this is important for us as a community.
And maybe that could be a line item for the budget for next year too.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
In the DPW budget. There you go. That's a good idea. Okay, we have 2 more raised hands. Nick, and then Marie. Nick, you're on.
Thank you, Rich. I just wanted to let everyone know to mark their calendars for May 7th, when the Hudson Sloop Club will be operating our local Riverkeeper sweep at the Hudson waterfront. We've been doing it every year for close to 10 years now. The CAC in the past has always participated, and we've always loved their help. And so that'll be, I believe, at 1 o'clock. I can put a link in the chat here for registration. And they definitely recommend people register, but you can also just come on down on May 7th, bring some dirty clothes. We'll be cleaning up trash and debris from the waterfront in a few different places. There'll be some snacks, and I think you get a Riverkeeper t-shirt sometimes and a coupon to go to a local brewery for a drink. But it's a fun time, and we'd love to see everyone come out for that.
And Nick, you said the CAC did in the past. What did the CAC do in the past? Just participate, or do we have an actual presence as the CAC, or what?
Oh, no, it's not anything formal. I think just CAC members in general have shown up in larger numbers than the rest of the population. So it's not asking anything to do something specifically, just to come down and help clean up a little bit.
Okay, great. Cool. Yes, please send us that link. That would be great. And Marie, you're on.
Yeah, sorry, just a last note. I've kind of noticed that the issue of budgets comes up a few times, and since we don't have one, I wonder if it might be worthwhile for us in the near future to just make a list of things that we ideally would like to do as a CAC and what the costs are associated with that, and identify funding sources for those things, including consistent funding for Arbor Day every year and things like the plastics flyer and other things like that. It's just throwing it out there for discussion in the future.
So Tom DiPietro, if we wanted to put together budget items for the CAC, how would we go about that?
In September, or roughly around September, you would present a budget. I think all the budgets are due. I can't remember the exact date, but there's a day in September, and you present a budget of what you'd like to finance. And it's a great idea. It's about time that you had more money available. Certainly Arbor Day would be, if you had a certain amount of funds allocated for Arbor Day every year, it shouldn't be a problem. There's just 3 of us, and you just need 2 of us to agree. And then you need the council to approve later on. But, the first stage is the most important one.
All right. And
Just put a lot of detail in it,
Right. So, and we would send a detailed budget to whom?
That's a
Yourself?
good question. It goes to the 3 members. I mean, I guess to Tracy and the 3 members of the
BEA.
Board of Estimate. Yeah, BEA.
Right. Okay. All right. So let's take that away as an action item for the CAC ourselves, that by September, we'll put together a budget for next year and submit it to the BEA and Tracy and the mayor's office.
Yeah, he's on the BEA.
Right. He's on the BEA. Right. Yes. Yep. So great. All right, folks. I think that's it. That's all I have. 7 o'clock, 1 hour. Anyone, any other comments? Anything? Anyone got anything? No?
Happy
Motion
spring,
to-
y'all.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Yes, second. Okay, great. Motion and second.
Bye.
Everyone have a wonderful spring evening.
You too.
Easy. It was
Thanks,
great.
Rich. Thanks,